Good afternoon, Ngozi Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today is Grant Morel. How are you, Grant?
Hey, Nomsa. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Yeah, I'm back and ready to go. And
yeah, you're back. We missed you.
Thank you. I missed you guys too. I really did. But it's it's good to be back. And I've got a great subject coming up today, one which I'm really looking forward to. It's one that's going to touch so many people, I'm sure. Over to you, Nomsa.
So our topic today is when life gets tough, don't give up. When we're faced with challenges and difficulties, it's important to maintain a positive mindset and perceive instead of giving up. Consider the following suggestions that are going to be suggested by our coaches. And also, guys, one of our Ngozi Talk Shows members, she's in a hospital. And please put in prayers. We are in a light, darkish place at this moment. So we need prayers. Those who love our coaches, please put us in prayers. And Grant, what do you think about the topic?
Thanks, Nomsa. Great topic, because when life gets tough, don't give up, because as Nomsa just said, one of our fellow coaches here is in hospital, so we're all sending our very, very best for her. She's having a bit of a tough time indeed, so our thoughts are there. And there's tough times because in our lives, we all reach tough times. And here's the thing, people think that once they reach a pinnacle or something that looks seemingly fantastic in their life, that at that point, you know what, nothing's going to get bad again. Not true. It would be great if life was like that, but there's always going to be tough times that come our way. Some last a short time, some last a long time, and sometimes they're just different. But they're tough, and each time it happens, it's a challenge, and it's something new, and it's something which we never really seem to be prepared for. So tough times are very, very challenging. Obviously, we've all experienced them. Whether that's going to be through relationships, through career or business, or in fact health challenges for people. There's always challenges, always a tough time. But it's not that we want to focus on tough times, but more about how we can heal them to get you through that into the next stage. And I think that's something that's going to help so many people, because unfortunately it's something that affects all of our lives. That's what I wanted to start the subject with. Over to you, Nomsa.
I love that, Grant. I love that. So what I just would like to say to our audience, the reason why I actually chose this topic is I'm actually surrounded by people. Like when I talk to people, and I saw somebody as well putting a message on Millionaire Mindset group as well. He was saying he's surrounded by people who are not well at the moment, and people are going through tough times, and it seems like there's something that is going around. And I just made a comment. I was like, oh yeah, I've noticed that as well, because I just have a few people that are in hospital. So, and it's just specific for those, and those who are in hospital, who have families that are in hospital. When I talk to them, some of them, they feel they want to give up, because like when a member of your family is in hospital, they feel that what they think about is the end. But when you go through tough times, sometimes you have to like, what do you do with prayers? Us, like for me as a Christian, when somebody goes through tough times, the only thing I do is pray, and I have to send that energy of wishing that person well, and just put that the universe to watch over that person, and I just believe that it will work on their favor as well. So I don't know how you got Grant, because you are a hypnotherapist, and how do you work?
Thanks, Nomsa. Well, Yeah, I'm a hypnotherapist, sort of by one of my professions. It's a modality that I use, as you know. I'm a coach, a trainer, a hypnotherapist, laughing yoga instructor, all of these things. But these are all tools. These are tools which I use to get results for people. And sometimes I'll use this tool, sometimes I'll use that tool. If you think of it like a carpenter has a hammer, a saw, in fact, has several saws, will have a tape measure, a rule, a plane to plane things. These are all just tools to help you make a book cabinet, a staircase, or put floorboards in a house, whatever. And hypnotherapy is purely that. It is a tool. All the modalities I use, including a great new one which I've recently learned. These are tools to get a certain kind of fix for a certain kind of person. So, but when challenges happen, can you use hypnotherapy for it? Absolutely, of course you can. Yeah, because all it is a way of taking someone into an altered state to see more options in their life. And I think when tough times happen, one of the fundamentals of toughness, of a tough situation, is when we see a lack of freedom, a lack of ability to move and deal with a situation. And that's fundamentally what a tough time is. It means that you feel your options have gone from this down to this. And that's when it feels tough. So if you felt you had more options, more things to do to fix the problem, then perhaps you wouldn't find it so tough. So hypnotherapy would be one way of getting into someone's mind to helping them see the possibilities, the light on the horizon, the good opportunities that can arise, even for this seemingly bad situation, and also looking at options and making a plan to help them get it. So that could be one way you could use hypnotherapy for that. What about you, Nomsa? What do you do?
I pray. When things get tough, I pray and I fast. Like right now, we are fasting. I think there is about 1 million of us around the world who are fasting for 70 days around all over the world. With my pastor, MFM Dr. Olukoya. So we fast, and when things get tough, and also we use the scriptures because when life, it doesn't make sense, and that means you can't control the situation. But you mentioned lack of freedom and lack of ability. So that's the feeling people get when they feel helplessness. But then you have these people that have faith that cannot be defeated by anything. When the moment they are down, they want to get up. They use their mindset, they use their faith to actually, that's what I do, to use my faith when things are tough. And I just put my life out there to God and say, you know what, I don't have control of this situation, but you have control of this situation. So you can help me to actually get out of this situation. But if the situation is that I can get myself out of it, I do get out of it on my own. I pray as well. But all I can say is, when you're going through tough times, life gives us, life is an opportunity, give us opportunities. It's important to still embrace it, even if you are in pain, even if it doesn't make sense. And you have to find a reason why, like, you should live to the fullest. You should go on. Personal growth. Life offers us countless opportunities. And when life, it doesn't make sense, is when we rediscover who we are. And some people, like, there's a guy, was it Amanda or you, Grant? I think it was Amanda who was reading this book, and then he said this guy was in a hospital and there was no cure or something for whatever. He was told he was in a wheelchair, but he found that cure while he was in hospital. He healed himself and he got out of it. And now I think he's one of the big guys. So you can find, through challenges, you can find a breakthrough. That's what I believe. But some people, they they struggle to get up. What can you say, granted, to somebody who struggled to get up?
Thanks. So I think when you struggle to get up, and I think there was Amanda who shared that story, and
Yeah.
a very inspirational story is too. I think when people struggle to get up, it's because, again, you have a lack of resources around you. What do you need? Different people handle problems differently. Some people go in an isolated state, which I don't necessarily think is a great thing, because you see like your problem is within the four walls that you're in. And it never is. I find that when you get out and about, you see the world going on, regardless of your small problem, because it's small to other people, isn't it? It's big to you, but it's small to other people. When you can get around to seeing that and you tap into more people, you'll get more advice, more options, more support, more guidance. And near as damn it, one of them is going to pull you out of it. So when there is a challenge, which I can't see the way out of, I often think to myself, the problem is I haven't spoken to enough people. So that's normally it. When you speak to more people, it becomes apparent. Once it becomes apparent, you can start to see what it is. You start to see more options. And that, I find, is the cure. So that's when people feel stuck, as I would call it. They don't know what to do. I think you need to speak to more people. You need to get out. You need to read more books about it. You need to do something to, as my friend would call it, shake it up. One of my friends called shake things up a little bit, add a new dynamic. And that can be the thing. Whether that means getting the tin of paint and painting the walls in your house a different color. And that works for some people. Rearranging your furniture, having a change of hairstyle. All these things are actually quite good things to do. But whatever it is, these are all examples of shaking it up, bringing in a new influence, a new dynamic to make you see things differently. And that is something that people may want to adopt. What are you thinking, Nomsa? What do you think? I see you nodding your head there and contemplating.
Yes, I'm just thinking about what you're saying, that, in life, it can be tough. But in order to get up, there is always a way to actually get out of the situation. If you want to get up, Grandy, do you want to continue talking? Because LinkedIn is not live. I need to check why.
Sure. I'll do that. So, so getting up, that is, as I'm saying, the most important thing is to get up and move. That often feels like the very last thing that people want to do is sometimes they don't want to get out of bed. They don't want to deal with it because it's as soon as they wake up, the problem hits them. Well, you know what? It will last X amount of time. And the quicker you get up and start dealing with it, the quicker it will go behind. The quicker you'll put some distance between you and the problem. So really it is about creating that word, which I use quite a lot in my coaching world, and that is momentum, about creating some form of momentum. When you get up, you deal with it, maybe start to make a list of, first of all, I would say when there's a challenge, as human beings, we deal a lot with feelings. How is this situation? And you may want to do this now if you're not driving. Just think about this and make some notes. Ask yourself, how is this situation making me feel right now, a feeling? And you may find several different emotions, some of which you may be able to cross off the list almost straight away because you'll think, well, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't make me feel that way. It's got no reason to. So you may be able to reduce it. Some will still make no sense, but you'll still have them. But you'll have clarity. Here's the key thing. When a challenge happens, a lot of the time we just feel confused, dazed, and we just don't know what's hit us. Once we get clarity on how we're feeling, that's helpful because at least you can see for sure what the problem actually is as opposed to what you think it is. Once you get that, you know what tools, I mentioned the word tools earlier, what tools you can use to tackle the real challenge. Once you do that, you can start to isolate the big parts to the small parts. And start to work on the one that's the easiest to fix. Why? Because it will give you some success. If you fix the small part, if that's the easiest to fix, or maybe it's the big part that's easier to fix. There's no set rules, but if you fix one of them, and you can cross that off your list, you will feel a feeling of what? A feeling of accomplishment. Once you get that, you start to see the problem go from that big to that big, and then from that big to that big, that big to that, and so on. This will start to show you and give your brain evidence that the problem is fixable. And that is one of the key aspects to it. You need to get success. I've said before, nothing breeds success like success. So you need to get some element of success to convince your mind that you can be successful with this challenge. All right. And that's what you need to do. So start to do that, and you'll be surprised at how it makes you feel better. Not only is it feeling better, you will physically be eradicating the problem as well, step by step. So you'll be taking the bricks out of the wall until if the wall was a problem, until that wall starts to fall down. Okay. And that's one of the key aspects I'll look at with that. Start to make a list of people who can be useful to you, who can help you with the challenge. Make a list of people. These are your resources. Make a list of perhaps reading material, which is going to help you through it. Training course material, coaches, trainers, don't be afraid to use them. They're a great asset in this. Last night, I had a message from one of our clients who had a session booked to read tomorrow. And his message was something along the lines of, I'm having a great problem at the moment. My mind's not quite in the right place. Should we postpone our session? To which I said, I don't think so. No. If you're having a great problem, this is exactly why you should have a session. You know, that's exactly what it's for, to help you through that. So don't be afraid to use coaches. You know, we're here to help you with that. You know how to contact us. And that's what we do after all. We help people to navigate their way through their life, through their career, through their business, through their challenges, to help them achieve success. And these are some of the tools that we'll use with you and lead you through it by the hand, so that you are not alone, so that you do have a support mechanism, so that you do have a list of resources. Even if you think you haven't, we'll either help you find the ones you've got or introduce new ones to you. So it will get you through that one way or another. And it gives you a sense of what? A sense of purpose to actually get through that. We help you to understand also why you would want to get through this problem. Now, it may say obvious, because you may just want to feel better, which of course you want to feel better. But having this problem right now, this challenge you've got, it must be preventing you from achieving certain things in your life, mentally, physically, whatever, financially. Make a list of the things it's stopping you from doing. Once you make that list will motivate you to want to utilize those resources to pull down that wall, so that you can start to achieve the things you want to achieve. If that makes sense. So we're applying a bit of logic to an emotional situation.
Okay, LinkedIn is sorted out now. We are live now on LinkedIn. It wasn't, the data wasn't connecting with LinkedIn. I don't know why.
So just a brief synopsis there is to make a few lists. If you've got a problem in your life, problems are normally about feelings, the way you're feeling. So make a list of the way that problem's making you feel now. Some of those problems will seem ridiculous straight away, so you'll be able to, just thinking about them will make you realize it's ridiculous, and then we'll stop feeling it. Some you'll need to work on. Pick the easiest part of it to fix and fix it. Why? Because that will give you momentum and will give your brain evidence that you can start to fix the problem, piece by piece or brick by brick. And this is what we're doing. We're looking at your problem like it being a wall and taking the bricks out of the wall until that wall collapses. Also make a list of the things that the problem is preventing you from achieving right now, because that will help motivate you to use the resources to fix it. So make a list of resources, books, training courses, coaches that you can use, or friends who will help you to guide you through this, which is actually going to help you to live a better life straight away. Nomsa, what do you think?
I love that when you say make a list of like write down the problems and also your feelings, how the problems are making you feel, because that is very, very important. When you write down the list of the problems, and also it helps you to actually connect with your feelings and understand how you're feeling without making yourself or blaming yourself, because sometimes we are actually the enemy of our own. When things go wrong, we intend to blame. So it's very, very important not to blame yourself when life does not make sense. And also, Grant, you mentioned that when challenges rises, we get into confusion. Me, I get into a shock when things like when Carol Anne was telling me first, when she said she wasn't well, I thought, oh, okay, she's at home. But then if something is wanted me to ask more, I was like, where are you? Are you at home? Because I felt that something wasn't right. So she was like, I'm in a hospital. So I was like, that moment, I was like, God, does she really need to be in a hospital? So I was like, I went to this shock and just went quiet. And when I go into a quiet place, that's when I just come to a solution where I need to ask God, or I need to pray. Or sometimes, like Grant was saying, that sometimes you just need somebody to talk to, or sometimes you need a professional, because when you leave things not dealt with, that's when things get worse. So if your feelings are telling you that something is not right, don't ignore it. Or sometimes it could be problems at work. People, they have businesses, and businesses, if they don't go according to plan, sometimes it can leave you with questions like, is this worth it? But unfortunately, when it comes to business, that's part of it. Challenges are part of it. When it comes to health, challenges are part of it. You have to have this, you have to have, I was performing Reading Festival. We were performing, I think 4 weeks ago. So I got really, really ill before the performance, and I was like, can I go or shall I not? So I went to the performance. To my surprise, I got to the performance and the sickness disappeared. And I was like, what kind of a sickness is this? So I'm on stage. I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel anything. We just performed. And then after an hour, and because it was pouring with rain, we went to the changing room, and then we just went home. But some people stayed. Me, I was like, I need to go home. So when I got home, I got really worse. And I was like, what the heck is that? So I was like, oh. So I said to my mind, I needed to perform. So I did perform and I was fine. So I'm getting home now and I'm getting worse. So I had to use my mindset to say, you know what, I need healing. I need to be healed. So I had to stand up and start doing things. I'll sit down if I need to. And sometimes when you use your mind for healing, to actually not to ignore things, you just heal yourself with your mind, and just bringing this energy where you understand that life is a blessing. Like what Grant said, you write down, and when you are writing down the problems and you understand your feelings, also have this mindset of life is a blessing. No matter what is going on. I found this poem online. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to access it. It says, life is an opportunity, benefit from it. Life is a beauty, admire it. Life is a bliss, test it. Life is a dream, realize it. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a duty, complete it. Life is a game, play the game. Life is a promise, fulfill it. Life is a sorrow, overcome it. Life is a struggle, accept it. Life is a tragedy, confront it. Life is an adventure, dare it. Life is luck, make it. Life is too precious, do not destroy it. Life is life, fight for it. It says by Mother Teresa. So these points, they're really, really beautiful points. when you go through challenges, if you can find this poem, it's really, life is a blessing.
Yeah, no kidding. And it is, life is a blessing. And I always remind myself of that. It is a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here. And I think it's something about going through things in a cheerful manner. If you do it gratefully and cheerfully, it's great. You mentioned blame earlier.
Yeah.
It's very easy to blame.
Yeah.
Blame yourself, blame others. But if we don't blame, if we just deal with the facts and just move forward, keep moving forward, because this is one thing I have learned through challenges, is that when they happen, you think that challenge is a bad thing. Often it isn't. It is for now, but you've heard this said before, and it's worth reiterating, is the fact that you don't know what's behind this curtain in front of you, this curtain of problem. Behind it, it could lead you to the greatest thing ever. And quite often it leads you, I'm not going to say it always leads you to the greatest thing, but quite often it leads you to a good thing, something that couldn't have happened had this problem not occurred. Because here's the thing about problems, they create movement. They create you having to take a different direction in something. And that can often take you to a better place than you were before you had the problem. And that I find to be true. So don't look at them too negatively, because could be a really good thing in store for you. But learn to challenge the problems, learn to ask yourself questions. And this is how I really got into this industry one way or another. I had a big challenge, a relationship challenge actually. And it was very, it was awful. It was one of the worst times of my life. Awful. And I've said it before, I felt I was going down a hill fast, really fast. And people were quite worried about me. And probably quite rightly so. I was in a bad way. And I started to ask myself lots and lots and lots of questions. I never read a single book on it. I didn't do it. I just mapped it all out myself. Who am I? Why am I feeling this bad? Why was I not feeling this bad before I met this person? Blah, 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 blah. What difference did it make? I used to be happy. Why am I not happy now? What does that mean? What did this relationship bring to me that I couldn't bring to it myself, etc., etc. Lots and lots of questions. And I realized what the problem was. The problem at the time was a lack of self-value. Not that I knew it, but never have discovered it before. Once I started to get my own self-value back, and I made a list of resources and actions to do that, once I've done that, it started to happen. Sometimes feel better, then a little bit worse, then a bit better, then a little bit worse. But the graph was gradually going this way. And then one day, I suddenly felt a bit better. I'm not saying I felt great, but a bit better. Oh, something's changed. There's a shifting of gears. I felt a bit better. Again, this gave me evidence that you can change things. And that happened another couple of times, and then it's gone. And I've helped other people with that very same problem since. Other coaches, actually, who've gone relationship problems, because even coaches have challenges, all right? We're not immune to this stuff. But when it happens, it's about getting people through it and having a system. Because here's the biggest problem, is that when you have a problem, your brain's not working properly. You're stuck in it. You're in shock. You're in disillusionment. You're blaming, you're justifying, you're denying, you're overwhelmed. All of these things happen, which means you're not thinking clearly. So you need an external person, often where your coach comes in, to help you think clearly. They can see on your behalf to guide you into a process. You do it, but they guide you through it, support you through it. And that is one of the secrets of success. I didn't have that, but maybe I had an ability to ask myself. I always guide with questions. And it was the questions for me that really, really helped. And there was lots of questions. And I refined them, and that's what got me through it, and then helped me to get into this industry, because I realized, people have challenges in their relationships, in their business, in their career, etc., etc. And I use some of the same strategies and map them over. I'm very good at taking something from this area and mapping it over to this area. And fortunately, that's how I did it. And I've been able to help quite a lot of people with that sense. So I'm very pleased and honored to have that. So if there was anything good that come from that bad situation, it sparked me off onto a new career, a very fulfilling career. So start to think of it this way, that the problem you got may not be as bad as you think. In fact, it may lead you to something really enjoyable later. Nomsa.
When you talk about the self-value, that whatever it was you were going through relationship, it was all about the self-value. You didn't value yourself. I think some of it as well, when we enter a relationship, we give away everything. We invest so much time in that relationship, and sometimes we forget to value ourselves as well. And then when that relationship breaks, we just the whole thing, the world falls apart. It feels like the whole world falls apart.
Yeah.
But at least now, if it was to happen again, you would deal with it in a different way. I did the same as well, because when my relationship fell apart, I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was like, I just felt like life wasn't fair. And I remember ringing my GP, and I was like, I need to see. And the woman on the phone was like, is it an emergency? I was like, yes. And I walk in, and my GP is looking at me. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, no. And he goes, how do you feel? I'm like, I don't know how to describe it. And he goes, what happened? Tell me any event that happens. I was like, going through relationship breakup, and it was like, oh, one of those. So I was like, you'll be okay. But then for me, I managed to get a therapist straight away, because he gave me the advice. He was like, you just need to get a therapist. So I left, but he was like, you get a therapist. If you don't, I'll do one on my side. So it was like, to be on the safe side, I got a phone call, and the woman was arranging to actually give me therapy. And I was like, yeah, I'm up for it. So it did help that, you start realizing that you have to create your own world, and your own world exists. And the challenges are there to give you strength. They're there to actually, it's an opportunity as well. And so you just have to connect with yourself, stay connected, because if you disconnect with your emotions, and you disconnect with your soul, you disconnect with everything in that moment, it will be hard to actually go back and connect with your world. That's when you need somebody professional to actually help you, so that you can stay connected to your passion and your interest. When life doesn't make sense, you lose interest as well. So make sure that whatever happens in life, you see it as a blessing. That's how I see things. The most things that makes me happy, keeps me going, is knowing that where there is life, there is hope. Is the faith that I have that keeps me going. And it's the faith that I look back where I've been with life, and I tell myself that if God can get me out of that situation, that means he can do the same with this situation. No matter whatever is going on in life, I always see it as a blessing. I don't switch off completely to the blessings that I had before, because it's easy for the world, when the world falls apart, it's easy to actually forget about the blessings and just to focus on that, the circumstance that goes on in that moment, and to be like, if this is not fair, why this is happening to me? It's life. If we didn't have problems in life, we wouldn't be where we are today. So we are where we are. Even when you see like Tony Robbins, he went through his challenges. Through those challenges, he found that breakthrough I always listen to his story when he went to the bank, and the woman looks at him, and he was so serious, and he looks at him, and he was so serious about his passion. That is life. And the woman believed in him. That's why I always say to people, find one person that can believe in you. You don't need the whole world to be on your side. It's just that person that will stand by you, that is true to you and get through problems. But some people, what they intended to do, I don't know about you, Grant, around the people around you. But for me, I always see people when one person is giving them support and the others don't, they get wind up. Why are they not supporting me? You don't have to worry about people not supporting you, because they worry about you. And when you worry about you, worry about God or the universe, whatever your beliefs are, and the people that are on your side. If you have one person that says, I have you, I support you, just that's enough.
Yeah.
That's more than enough. So what do you think, Grant?
Absolutely, Nomsa. It's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Yeah.
Right? You just need one person who's there for you, one person who's got your back, someone who cares, maybe someone who knows you better than yourself, maybe, and says, look, I know you're in a situation, what you need to do is this, or things like this. That one person, make that phone call, confide in them, find out who they are. And yeah, some people will not follow through as much as they said they would. That will happen. Doesn't matter. Just work. You only need to fix it. You only need one hammer to bang in a nail, right? So that one person you need is going to fix it. So here's a question for you right now. Who's that one person you can go to? Who's that one person that you could phone at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, I have a problem? And they'll say, okay, give me a minute. What's the problem? Who's that person who would be there for you? That's who you need to try first of all. Because they're going to know you better than anyone else. They've got more patience than anyone else. And they've seen you and watched you and observed you closer than anyone else. And they'll help you get through it quicker than anyone else. So that's the person you want to go to. So make a note right now. Who is that person? Who is that person? Because that person may be able to fix the problem. They may not. But they're the person who maybe lead you to the answer. And that's who you really need to get. They may say, I know who you need to speak to, or I'm going to phone this person for you, or you should do this, or you should read that book. They will lead you to it, even if they aren't the answer themselves. But speak to that person first. Because not only the person who fixes it, it's the person who can introduce you to the solution. So start to think of it that way, and life will change. Have you ever tried that, Nomsa? Have you ever done that kind of thing? I mean, personally, or known anybody to go through that way and find the introducer to the answer?
Yes, I went through tough times was it 2016? I always talk about it. Some people, they might think it was a joke. I kind of fasted for 40 days thinking I was fasting, and then I find myself with the challenges. But through that journey, friends were turning their backs, family members were turning their back, but there was a few people. My mom, she's always there. My mom was there holding my hands, and there was this guy. My brother gave me his number, that when I call him, and this guy was like, yeah, Nomsa, I know what you're going through. And he was like, he was like, I know what you're going through. I know this. And through that moment, things got really, really tough. I got to realize that when people talk about God, Jesus, and Lucifer, what's the difference? And also people joining a cult, because this thing came and asked me to join, and I refused. But I didn't realize the consequences of refusing. I thought I just refuse, it leaves me, but it was actually torturing me. And there was this guy who knew exactly how it works. And I didn't know anything, and people that knew. And luckily at the time, because when he was recruiting me, somebody I told somebody, and one of the pastors came. He didn't judge me. He knew exactly what I was going on. And he just looked at me. He knew that I needed to understand what was going on, but they didn't tell me actually exactly what I was facing. It was this guy, my brother's friend, that came. He told me, Nomsa, you are facing life and death. So you're going to get up and make up your mind. I was like, what do you mean I'm facing life and death? And he was like, you prayed 40 days. That's what Jesus did. And on that 40 days, you have opened the door. There's two doors now, Lucifer or God. The real one, his father. You are fighting between two people. Now you need to find a way to survive. So when they called, I find myself surrounded by the police, by the social services, and the psychiatric doctor says, actually, it does exist, because everybody else thought I'd gone mad. So this guy, likely that they brought in, who is a psychiatric doctor, said she does not need medication. I'm not putting her on medication. She's telling the truth. I have traveled. He's an English guy. He works at Oxford. I think is at Oxford University. He was so nice. One day, if he agrees, I might bring him on the show to give him an interview why he decided to do the right thing. He looked at me and he was like, no. And he said, Nomsa, do you know anyone right now on your phone that can help you to actually disconnect you? Because he knew that I needed to be disconnected. There was a debate that I needed to choose the path. If I had chose God, I survive. But if I choose his son, I die. Or if I say no to him, his son, I also die. So there was this debate now. And I said, why am I doing this? But then he said, Nomsa, you know, when you were 9, he showed up. He'd been watching you since you were a child. You know who you are. So, sometimes that's why I always say to people, sometimes we know who we are, but we choose to ignore it. For me, I didn't take my life very serious. I just ignored it. I just thought, who am I that I can connect with people? I can do this. Who am I? I'm not capable of doing those things. So it was then, but that guy, Grant, he was there for me from the beginning to the end. Years and years, he was training me how to actually recognize the different. When he comes in, trying to connect, I needed to recognize. He was there for me. He stepped in. I didn't know the guy. He dedicated his life. He is actually the one that made me become a matchmaker and speak, like wanting to speak on stage. And then when he trained me, actually I wanted to go and train with Andy Harrington. And he turned around and said, no. I said, why? He's a very, very successful man. I need to train with him. I need my business to go quickly. He knows people. He's already. And he said, no, sir, that's not how life works. So you have to understand, no matter what you go through in life, there are people in your life that enter your life, and they come as angels to help you. There are some people who are just there, but they cannot help you no matter how successful they are. They're not for you. Everybody else is for somebody else. So it was like, you need to choose Des O'Connor. Des O'Connor, everybody knows him. He's a big coach, but he's not as popular as Andy Harrington. But through that journey, Grant, every time Des has become my brother. Every time I have problems, he does not treat me as a somebody client. He teach me as like his sister. Like now my website has not been working. He stepped in and it was like, I will build a new website for you for free. I will get somebody, because I got through him, although I'd paid him that other professional website, and it was like, we'll find a way together. But then now looking back, why my brother, I call him my brother now because we've gone through that journey together. Now looking back, I've realized that he knew that if I go through challenges, these people, they're going to want money and money and money. But with Desi, it's different. And even also, going through these challenges. That's why sometimes when you go through life, you have to have this one person that you trust. Like this guy, it was a big challenge. I looked at him sometimes when I look at him, and I'm like, why did you decide to help me? He says, Nomsa, one day you understand why I helped you. So you understand. But the people that were coming in were selling me out. So they were selling me out because this thing was making deals with them. If you let me in, I will do this, I will do this, I'll make you this, I'll make you great. So he's selling me out, but he never did. He never sold me out.
Wow.
So those are the challenges sometimes in life. Like right now, Carol Ann is going through a battle. So it's up to Carol Ann now to look at her life and say, do I really want to stay here, or do I really need to work on my healing? And that healing, when I actually faced that moment, that's when I realized actually I can heal myself if I get sick. I can do anything if I wanted to do anything, because he came back later, a year later, and he said to me, all these people on earth, I'm just fooling them. He said, look down, I had this photocopy, the paper that was clear, white, clear. And he said, look down, what do you see? And the paper was written like he would write any sickness that he want. And he said, that's what I did. If the doctors, you all sick, sometimes sickness is real, sometimes it's not. I go and the doctors will tell you a diagnosis. If you say, agree with it, it becomes real. So since then, Grant, I don't believe in any sickness. Even I don't believe now. I'm in a point when I have cold, the buckets will fall down through. They don't go inside my body. I can feel it in my head because I'm refusing it, because he showed me what he does. And he was like, you are very, very, very smart person. And these people, your family, some of your family, they're just silly. I am the devil. I can tell you that, Nomsa. And I was like, get out. Yeah, he came back and showed me that the different energy. It was like, when the people talk, they talk about good energy, but it was the bad energy. He was, I'm the bad one. And I'm real.
Who was telling you this? I didn't quite get it.
Oh, it was this thing, like in the occult, when the John occult, it's a Satanism, basically. It's in the spirit realm, there is God, but there is like hell, there is heaven. But so who occupies the hell?
It was somebody within that. I understand. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
That's Lucifer. So he is the one who showed up. I don't believe in sickness anymore. I did before, and then one of the pastors said, Nomsa, the sickness doesn't exist. So I said, why don't you all teach that then? After he revealed to me that actually he can actually make people think they are sick while they are not. So through that challenge, I don't believe in any sickness anymore.
So you're saying that sickness is a matter of belief?
No, I'll show you one day one of the pictures. My leg. I went running. He was playing with me anyway. It was one part of his play. My leg he swelled and swelled and swelled. It felt like it was broken. I remember walking down the stairs, opening the doors. My mind said to call a taxi because I couldn't balance it. And I was like, I'm going to walk. Granted, I walked to the office crying. I was crying on the road, but I was walking. And then a few days, my leg disappeared. It became okay. So I was like, so this is real. So I started questioning the people, the pastors, and they were like, Nomsa, you need to read the Bible properly. It exists, it's real. So then when I listened to Tony Robbins went through what I've gone through, and I listened to how he teaches, because in order for him to go through when he teaches, actually, he teaches like somebody who is going through the same thing that I've gone through. So every time when he teaches, I always relate to his story. I always relate to what he does because he teaches it. He teaches the Bible, but he is teaching it in a like in a business way. So it makes me relate to this man and knows more. Like I know he knows more about what goes on in the realm of the spirit than he's letting on.
Yeah.
And that's very, very smart. So now that's when I had to realize actually there are two worlds. And that moment also, when I was going through tough times, it made me realize that you don't depend on people, because when you depend on people, because while he was doing all this, Grant, my friends, they were turning their back on me, my family members. But when he came back, he said, I need to tell you something. The reason why I wanted you in my kingdom is because you are truthful, you are honest. So choose the people that you surround with it, because some of your family members were willing to sell you out for some pieces of gold to me. They were willing to sell you. And some of the pastors were selling me out actually. It's like, I was like somebody like trading with me. I was like, but the guy that came on that took me in, he didn't sell me out. He actually dedicated his life to train me to understand how paradigms work, like how Bob Proctor teaches, how Tony Robbins teaches. So he was able to teach me all these things. Like when you say you're channeling like Carol Ann was ill, and when you say you are channeling what is it called? Cycling?
What's that? Cycling.
Cycling. Is it cycling? What is it called?
Yeah, like energy cycling, yeah.
Energy cycling. So those things, it was teaching me how it works in a Christian world. So It was showing me how this thing works and all those things. Because like there are some people, like you are you're trained professional, but there are some people who do the training. If I ask you about the energy, how it works, you'll be able to explain it to me. But there are some people who are trained professional, they don't have a clue how it works. So so you have to understand, even when you have problems, that's why some people get out of it, some people don't.
You have to find a path. And you mentioned about people earlier, and what I was listening to, about finding people you can trust.
Yeah.
You need to find resources you can trust. When you put those two together, you're already on the path to find the solution. And that's the key things. So once you put this together, you start to create that momentum. And momentum means you're on the path to success. And that is the most important thing, because you start to feel better because things are getting better. There's real evidence. And that's the key way you do it. You found your way of doing it there, not so out of a very, very bizarre situation. Thank God you did. And like so many other people out there have had similar experiences, I'm sure, to what I've described, to what you've described. And hopefully you can identify with that and think what you learn from these situations. What do you learn? What do you learn about yourself? How can you make things better? What was your system for making things better? We've shared ours, but I'd like to know what your systems were as well, because things can always be enhanced, and you can take what we taught you and adjust them to make them just right for yourself. But it's important that you do it, and it is about resources and people and choosing to have a different belief. So, it can be a question of listening to stories. I listened to a story years ago, about 15 years ago, well, actually maybe longer than that now, about 18 years ago. I had a real challenge in my business, and I felt very, very low indeed, very low. And there was a time in my family, something was going on, which was really a happy time. And I wanted to be really happy for that. But my mind was distracted with this other problem, which made me feel worse. And I read a book, a beautiful book. And it was about the story of the guy behind the Honda motorcycles. Mr. Honda, and how he started off. And everybody thinks immensely successful. Boy, oh boy, if you read that guy's story of all the challenges, all the problems, all the setbacks he faced, if you read that story, you would find it hard to believe that he went through all that and still carried on. And of course, when he became really, really successful, he obviously got where he did. And people said to him, because you remember he had those mopeds, right? The Honda C50.
Yeah.
And that was after many, 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 many years of failures. Many, many, many. And when he meets people, they say to him, oh yeah, but you were lucky, weren't you? You had that Honda C50. After all he went through, they said he was lucky. Well, he certainly wasn't lucky. And he paused, rather than reacting to it, he paused and said, yeah, I suppose I was lucky, if that means that luck stands for labouring under certain knowledge, L-U-C-K, in which case I was lucky. So he was labouring under certain knowledge that he knew he was going to get somewhere, that he knew he was finding the best solution, that he was answering the problem to the people. So he was labouring under certain knowledge, and that's how he created eventually the Honda C50, which became a world leader. And then the C70, then the C90. And his main aim was, I think, to make piston rings for Toyota. In the end, he went into cars and outsold Toyota cars.
Is he still alive?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's a beautiful story. I need to read it, Grant.
You should. I'll send it to you. It's an amazing story, and it's my go-to story. And people ask me to do a 20-minute talk. That's what I'll do. It's an incredible, and it helped to give me hope in a very tough time. And that's what I share with people. Again, if you read this guy's story, you would not believe that one person would have so much bad luck. But how he took the bad luck and repurposed it, a very Japanese thing to do. They repurpose and make things better.
Yeah.
My God, was he not the originator of that?
I will believe it.
Outstanding.
Yeah, please do send it to me. I like stories like that because they give me hope.
Yeah.
They motivate me and give me hope and to help me to take more action. So please do send it. Maybe we can talk about his life on the show one day.
All right. I'll talk to you through it if you like. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Life is a blessing, but some people there's lots of people, Grant, that struggles to actually get up and do the things that they're meant to be doing. Once they're knocked down, they're knocked down. But there's always a way. Always a way. Always. Yeah, always. We all be knocked down. And any words of encouragements now, Grant?
Yeah, thanks, Nonso. So, word of encouragement is the problem you have will not last forever. It's just a question of putting some time between it. Make the list of the things that are how you're feeling and analyze how real are they, because some of them are just fictitious and you know it's not your fault, so you can eradicate some from the list. Look at the easiest part to fix and fix that, because that will create momentum, which will give you more strength to go on to the next one. Not the biggest part of the problem, may probably go for the smallest part and fix that, okay, if things start to get better. That will give your brain evidence that you can fix it. Make a list of resources, books, trainers, coaches. You can help, family members who can help you. Make a list of things you can do, like get some exercise. Quite often is a really great way to do it. People you can speak to, music, dancing, inspiration, listen to stories like we just told you. Things like this, what can help you. Once you do that, that's it. But if you really can't think for yourself, and quite often you can't when you're in this state of unclarity, if you will, just contact one of us and we'll be happy to help you one way or another. This is what we do to help people all day long. So we'll be able to help you with that. This is what coaches do after all. And remember that what's behind that curtain or the problem, is often something that's going to lead you to a much better life, career, or business. So, take it on board, take it positively and cheerfully, and work through it, because probably something better is waiting for you. I'm Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and international best-selling author. And for over the last 21, I've just realized it's 21 years. Over the last 21 years, myself and international teams have helped thousands of individuals, entrepreneurs, businesses, and organizations across 15 plus countries. We've helped them to increase profits by up to 200% in just a few short months by working with their team. And I've mentioned other people can help you. They're part of your team, even if you didn't know it. Team, systems, mindset, and strategy, so that you can live a life of passion, purpose, and freedom, and develop a career, business, or a lifestyle that can become a legacy for generations to come. Take the advice, put it into action, reach out if you need help. Nomsa, over to you.
For me, I would say stay connected to your body and soul and spirit, whatever is going on in life. Don't disconnect yourself to because in order for the universe or God or whatever your beliefs that might be, and also for your health as well, you need your spirit man is your winning. That's what protects you. So you need strength. So never disconnect yourself from your emotions or your strength, regardless of what is going on in life. And also self-care is very, very important, to look after yourself. Number one, I always hear people saying my children are number one. I'm like, if you can't be number one, your children cannot be number one. So you have to be in good shape in order to look after somebody else. So look after number one, regardless of what goes on in life, because problems come and they go, they get sorted out. But if you don't look after yourself, once you've sorted that challenge, what next then? Then that means you're left with the depression, you're left with so many illnesses. So for me, I'm very, very lucky. I never ever get into depression because I was raised to appreciate life. Whenever there is a problem presented to me, I use gratitude. And whenever I feel stressed, I always find somebody to talk to. I have friends that I trust. I have friends that I talk to, and I have coaches that I talk to. I'm a coach as well. I still need a coach. I have a business coach, relationship coach. I have spiritual coaches. I have pastors that I talk to. All in all, I have maybe 5 or 6 coaches that I talk to mindset-wise. I need a coach. I can't have a business coach that I talk about a relationship. So I do look after myself. It's very, very, very important. So at Nkosi Talk Shows, on the website now, you can go and book coaching. If you want to be coached, if you don't want to find love specific, you want to do the coaching, you can book yourself, and whoever the coach, just message me. I'll connect you with one of the coaches that you want to connect with. And at Hope Spring Eternal Production Agency is the same thing as well. So you can book a coaching, and it depending with your situation. So all these coaches, they are all different. They deal with the different things. And also, what else do we do? I think my book, you can buy my book on my website as well. I'm not sure. I will ask when I finish here. I know it's live. So I think you can buy a book as well for those guys who are looking into get into relationship and you're feeling stuck. So you can buy that PDF online. And what else? If you are feeling stuck and you want to book Nkosi Talk Shows, just to to use their brain to hang out with people who are successful and just to ask questions. You have that options as well. There's lots of options if you go on the website, so you can book different coaches and different options. And if you want to hang out with Nomsa, you can book me as well. I'm there to hang out, but the hangout is strictly for business. And strictly, if there are some things that you're struggling with, you just want me for your day or for the weekend, just to show you how I do things. I do things the way I do things because somebody else entered my life and showed me how to do things. So I can do that as well and help you out. God bless everyone. We are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday UK time. And please put Carol on in your prayers. We want her out of the hospital. God bless.
Take care.